the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Look at perspective.
Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore, because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. Well, hello and welcome to the Lockhart Radio Podcast. I am your host, Felicia Lockhart. And tonight we are looking at a topic that I know a lot of people may not always talk about, but it's something that a lot of people experience and a lot of people go through, and that is the identity crisis. Tonight we're looking at exactly where that comes from. How did you get there? How do you fix it? Because it's one of those things that a lot of people deal with. Let me take some of this out. I put my moisturizer on and I feel like I'm shiny, baby. I'm so shiny. Anyway, when you're thinking about identity crisis, I'm going to deal with some of the areas that it comes from. You know, as a parent, you often want your children to be a certain way. And on one of the members only messages that I sent here on the Lockhart Perspective, I speak specifically about some of my life's past. And I did that on my 60th birthday. And I will be chronicling my life here with the members on the Lockhart Perspective. I believe that it's important because at 60 years old, you should be at the point where you don't really give a rip. But a lot of people will say, well, gee whiz, I don't give a rip anyway, and I'm only 43. Well, that's cool. Some of us didn't arrive there. Tonight, we're looking at the narcissistic mom. We're looking at the parents who want you to live vicariously, who want to live vicariously through their children in one way or another. When you're thinking about a transitional identity crisis, it's important. It's really important. I wonder, have you ever found yourself struggling, trying to figure out who you are in one particular facet or another? Or have you ever had somebody ask you the question, who are you? You know, as if they really deserve to know, who are you? That's a challenging question because it's really not who are you, it's who you are today. Do you remember the TV show? I think it was a TV show or a movie, and it was called Sybil. Well, Sybil, unfortunately, dealt with a myriad of issues. She had multiple personalities, but how about the normal individual, the person who's not been diagnosed with anything specific? And yet they find themselves being in a situation where they have been one person here, one person there, one person in this circumstance. And then they get to a wall and they hit it. And when they hit that wall, they realize they don't even know who they are. Well, they have a lot of different talents, okay? As I speak to you, I'm speaking to myself. So they have a lot of different talents. They have a lot of different things that they can do, a lot of things that they're qualified to do, but it makes it a little hard for them to hone in on one thing. Is that you? Has it been difficult for you to just hone in on one thing? Or are you one of those lucky individuals who've been able to take that one thing that you love, hone in on it and make money from it, or make yourself happy. It doesn't even have to be monetary. Did you know that? It doesn't have to be monetary at all. You could hone in on a gift that you have and it makes you happy. And then you find yourself doing something within that field, but the sweet piece is that it makes you happy. There's an article that we're reading, and it's in line with our thumbnail tonight. Not with my face part, but in line with the thumbnail nonetheless. You know, inside of the members only chat that I have put that video up, what I share with you guys are some of the things from my past, some of the things that I feel helped to shape who I am today. Some are good and some are bad. And the one thing that I told you guys was the next topic we were going to be dealing with was identity. Now, what's going to be in the members only won't be what you're hearing here. This is to help navigate those who may be going through these issues in their 30s, in their 20s, their 40s, their 50s, and unfortunately, even into their 60s. This begins with, have you ever found yourself struggling to define who you are after going through a significant life change? Whether it's a new job, moving to a new country, clocking a new age, ending a relationship, or any other significant life transition, it is not uncommon to feel lost and in desperate need of redefining your identity after a major life change. The author says that at the beginning of 2022, they found themselves in this position. They had moved to Germany, and it felt like someone had hit the reset button on their life. Until then, everything about life, my social media or social environment, they say, and career had been a familiar territory that I routinely navigated. I had worked on projects in my home country of Nigeria for years with people who already knew my value and respected me for it. But now, the author says, I had to reestablish my identity from the ground up. This experience made me realize how badly change can mess with our heads if you don't learn to expect it, prepare where possible, and adapt to transitions quickly. Now, in the article, the author says, I will talk about the overarching factor I believe causes transitional identity crisis for many people, and offer 3 strategies that have helped me navigate, the author says, such challenging moments. So, what's the most significant cause for a transitional identity crisis? The author says, in my experience, I found that the primary culprit of transitional identity crisis is a mental experience. It is our mental perception of the uncomfortable difference between our past and present realities and how we believe it would affect our ability to function in the future. Here are 2 ways this is manifest in practice. Losing our sense of purpose. Have you ever heard the wife tell the husband, you know, I think you're just having an identity crisis? Because she's used to him getting up, going to work, all right, taking care of what he has to at work, coming home. He has a ritual when he comes home. Maybe he, pets the dog or walks the dog and comes back in, or maybe he hugs the kids or checks on their homework and sees how they're doing, and he checks on her, and then he goes and he sits in his easy chair. He reads his paper. He relaxes while the news is running. But then when that person steps outside of that and he decides, I think I just want a Harley Davidson. I think I just want a Corvette. I think I just want a Viper, he says. I just want a Viper. I'm going to get me a Viper. And when I get this Viper, I'm going to ride out in the sunset. And baby, I want you to make sure that you lift your hair as high blonde as you can. We're going to let down the top in this Viper and we're going to ride down into the sunset. Well, at least he included you. But have you ever heard of the story where the wife says, I think my husband is going through an identity crisis. He's going through a late stage crisis. Have you ever heard that? Of course you have. This is because the individual has been who they've needed to be to navigate that particular section of their life for however long they needed to do until they can exhale. And it's the exhale that each and every one of us have to get to. It's the exhale that we live for. It's the exhale that tells us, you know what? If I pinch myself, I believe I'm human. I'm going to pinch myself. Now, this could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing, but we're just focusing on the middle road. We're not going to make this anything terrible. We're just going to deal with the middle road, right? And when you're dealing with that middle lane, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. The author of this piece is being very transparent with the fact that having moved from one place to another, they realized that there was a transition. Moving from familiar to unfamiliar contexts can affect our sense of purpose and fulfillment. We may feel valueless and directionless and struggle to redefine our new identity after leaving a place or people that we've grown accustomed to. The feeling can be intensified if reestablishing worth, finding relationship replacements, or gaining credibility proves difficult in new environments. Let's face it, not feeling needed is an uncomfortable feeling. This realization of how dependent our lives have been on the validation and familiarity of our former experiences can cause a tremendous sense of loss that, if unchecked, leaves us incapacitated and unmotivated. I think the reason why, with all transparency, this is an important conversation for me to have right now is because there are those of you who in the chat who know me on a personal level. I've lowered my drawbridge and I've allowed certain ones to know me. I've shown transparency in certain areas. And when you consider having made yourself transparent, imagine taking all that it took of you to do that and now move into a completely different area where you've got to prove yourself all over again. There are countless people who go through this experience. And it's my goal tonight to help you to navigate through that. It's my goal tonight to allow you to see where some of these things where you feel as if you're not good enough or where you got to meet somebody else's standard or somebody else's idea of who you are. This is so important. Sometimes those things can make you lose your confidence, and the confidence that you lose can sometimes make you feel as if you're not worthy. Losing self-confidence can happen to anyone, even those who always have been confident and sure of themselves. It's a feeling of doubt and uncertainty about one's abilities, traits, and overall self-worth. It often occurs when unexpected events happen, like failing at a skill we had built a reputation around, or making a mistake we never thought that we'd make. In these situations, it's easy to start questioning oneself and our abilities, which can lead to an identity crisis. Being able to say, I know myself confidently and I trust my skills is uncomfortable. Simply put, an identity crisis is an uncomfortable state of feeling lost and uncertain about who we are, who we were, and who we will be in the future. It is a difficult situation to be in, and it can be worsened by being surrounded by people who cannot affirm us based on our past or present potential. Because you see, the people who we had that were around us, say, for example, in an older job, maybe you were there for 10 years, those people knew you. And they knew that if they ever had an issue, that whatever it was that you were good at, all they had to do was to approach you with the subject or the topic and it would be done. And you felt value in that. But I want to tell you, you're going to have that value again. Don't let it beat you up. Don't succumb to the feeling of temporary worthlessness. Because, baby, let me tell you, if you were ever worth something, you still are today. Have you ever been at a new job and you had to try to tell everybody what you've done before? You go through that situation where all of the people at the job, you're at the water cooler or at the coffee pot, or maybe you're having lunch in the lunchroom. Maybe the lunchroom is closer and it will allow you to get back to work faster than going out to your car to eat that sandwich. And so you don't want to go all the way out to the parking lot and you're sitting there in the lunchroom and people that you don't know want to sit down and ask you who you are. Where did you come from? You feel like you got to give them your resume, but then you see the side eye. Don't allow those questions to throw you. Don't allow somebody asking you who you are from being who you are. But here's the skinny. And I do want to deal with this tonight because a lot of us deal with our parents' idea of who we were or who we are. A lot of us are still in our 50s, 60s, and 70s, even though some may feel like, well, there's no right now. I'm done. Ain't nothing else in this world for me. I don't care what my mama thought of me. I'm just going to live out I'm going to be me. But a lot of us are still wrestling with who somebody else thought we were and what somebody else thinks that we should be doing. Listen, for those of us who reached an age over 40, we can tell those of us, those under us, it's coming quickly. It's coming very quickly. So I want to encourage everybody tonight under the sound of my voice to just understand that these ideas and these situations come in many different shapes and forms. This is going to get ugly in a second. I know I said it's not going to be scary, but it's going to get ugly because some of the blame does belong on our parents. Some of the blame belongs on our parents. And some of the blame belongs on us when our children are feeling the same way. You know, I've noticed having to have that S on your chest as the super mom or super parent. It's almost as if we like having that as a badge. You know, well, I have to take care of this, I have to take care of that because these kids just don't understand this or they just don't understand that, or, you know, I've got to do it all. We're going to look at a mom or at a situation where it's an unhealthy mother and daughter relationship. We're going to look at the characteristics of parents. So either you had a parent or you are that parent. And that's what's causing the identity crisis. Let's get into the rest of this article before we get into these videos that I want to share with you. And I do want you guys to share this out if you have the ability to do it, because it may not be for you, but it definitely may be for somebody else. And this whole video may not be for that somebody else, but pieces of it just might be. Stay connected to a community that knows and celebrates your victories. In times when we face an identity crisis, being surrounded by people who know our strengths and capabilities may help us adapt. These people can help to motivate and remind us of our worth and our potential when life and other people temporarily cause us to question them. It's easy to forget our wins and allow negative experiences to overshadow them when difficult situations arise. But having individuals who help put us or who help put our successes in perspective and offer unbiased advice can be a great source of strength and motivation for overcoming these moments. However, it's important to choose the right people to seek self-evaluation from. Empathetic individuals who see our potential and not just our surface traits are the best kind of people to have around during an identity crisis. The next topic says, become your own motivation. You know, there's a passage that says sometimes you just got to encourage yourself. You got to encourage yourself. Sometimes you got to look back and say, you know what, I can do this task. I think a lot of times what happens is we get caught up in that whole conversation that says, oh, I don't want to be boastful. Sometimes you got to encourage yourself. Sometimes you got to remember a time where you were able to overcome a task. And when you overcome that task, you remember that feeling of gratification and just being happy that you were able to pull some form of resources from your past experience and bring it into the now, and then take the now and say, look, okay, I did it then. I know I can do it again. Even the word, even when you consider some of the scriptures that say, you know what, the Father even says, remind me. of what I've done. Remind me of my own word. Remind me of what I've said. And sometimes you got to remind yourself of some of the accomplishments that you've done all by yourself without any external help that helps to put you right back on the right track. This is an important thing. Like it or not, there will always be times when we need to motivate ourselves and call ourselves back to order. In such moments, being able to take responsibility for our own lives, growth, and personal development is important. We cannot always rely on others to see our potential and motivate us. We must be willing to motivate ourselves even when things seem challenging. Complaining and sulking never achieves anything, and they waste time. The article goes on to say, know this: what you're going through is not abnormal. It's a normal feeling that even the greatest have experienced. The difference between failure and success depends on how you react to it. Failure and success depends on how you react to it. Do you agree with that? Failure and success depends on how you react to it. Treat failures as learning opportunities. Real failure occurs when we allow change or failure points to undermine our present capabilities rather than treating them as learning opportunities. Every failure is a chance to learn something new about ourselves, our abilities, and our potential. We have to take every opportunity to learn from our mistakes, to grow and become better versions of ourselves. And in a nutshell, losing self-confidence and going through an identity crisis is not unusual. Your feelings are valid. When it does happen, as much as you can, stay connected to the people who celebrate your victories. Be intentional about becoming your own motivation and learn to treat your failures as learning opportunities. Doing these three things will help you navigate difficult transition moments and emerge stronger and more confident. Sometimes we have to look at the situation that some people unfortunately have, because now we're going to transition. And as we transition now, we're going to look at the 10 signs of a narcissistic mom, because a lot of times you find situations where the mom is the person who has put these borders or in front of us. And this is 10 signs that you may have a narcissistic mother. We're using this specifically for documentary purposes. We're going to speak upon it. We're going to reflect. We're going to really use it as what I see as a tool to help us. This is not being given in any way, shape, form, or capacity as a method of therapy. Okay? I'm not giving any therapy for anyone. What I'm sharing tonight are just some tools and bits and pieces. Again, not all of this may be for you, but a piece might. So this is where it may have come from. Doesn't mean that your mama was a narcissist, because you may have had the best mama on the planet. Somebody else may have one. So let's get in touch with this. Let's get in touch with ourselves. And these are 10 signs that you may have a narcissistic mother. Maybe some of us are that mother. Who knows? This again is not for therapy.
Hey, Psych2Goers. Before we begin, we would like to thank you all for the love and support that you've given us. Sharing and liking our videos helps us fulfill our mission to make psychology more accessible to everyone, and we're so grateful for that. Now, let's continue. What is the relationship between you and your mother like? Perhaps you've noticed that something is just not right in your relationship, but you have no idea why. And because of that, you've questioned yourself and wondered whether it was something you were doing. Or is it something she's doing? Sound familiar? Children of narcissistic parents go through their lives feeling confused and lost, and in search of the love they never received from home. They expect their mothers to nurture and support them, but when they're dealing with narcissistic mothers, they aren't given the love and support that healthy parents should provide. Narcissism is one of the buzzwords used a lot in mental health literature and social media. So how do we know our own mothers are narcissistic or simply just being mothers? In this video, we'll be discussing 10 signs you may have a narcissistic mother. As a disclaimer, this video is purely for educational purposes and is not designed to diagnose or suggest that your mother is a narcissist because you recognize some of the signs in this video. If you feel that your mother is displaying—
So don't be coming back talking about you said my mama was a narcissist. It's very important to take these points and see yourself, or find that maybe in your quiet time that maybe these are some of the things that you dealt with, you didn't know what it was, and now you're going to help unravel that. None of this is meant to replace therapy. I believe in it. I do. I believe in going to see a therapist. I don't believe in lifelong therapy because then I believe that's a crutch. But I do believe in going to see somebody that is professional, that is able to see you for who you are, and that is unbiased, that can give you just, shoot straight from the hip. Okay.
narcissistic traits and you feel that you can't talk to her about it, we suggest confiding in somebody you trust or speaking to a person in a professional capacity, such as a GP or a mental health professional. Let's begin. Number 1, she sees her children as her trophies or her pawns. Ever feel like your achievements are used by your mother to show off her status and her ability? A narcissistic mother sees her child as an extension of herself. The sad truth is, the only thing narcissistic mothers care about is how others see them through their children. So, when her child makes any mistake in public, she belittles them. A narcissistic mother will be full of praise when you make her look good, hypercritical and judgmental when you make her look bad. And the worst part, she knows where it hurts and will often not consider this before making comments at your expense. If you have siblings, she'll pit you against each other to gain more control. The golden child is the one she favors more, solely because of how good you make her look around others. If she sees you as the scapegoat, she'll put the blame on you for everything, and even emotionally reject you because you make her look bad. Number 2, she likes to keep control. Does she get angry when you disagree or don't do what she wants you to do? Does she try to make you feel guilty for having separate interests, hobbies, desires, and opinions?
I want to stop it here because I know a lot of people will say, oh my God, that would never be a mom that I know. That's not my mom. And that's cool. But you know the sad piece, that there's somebody who may not even be making a comment right now, and bless their heart, they have dealt with this. Because what people don't understand is that when you become a father or a mother, you're not given a manual. And not everybody has been raised in the quote unquote church or with the Bible as a manual. And so don't you know a lot of parents mess up? Tonight, this is just to free you up. This is to free you up. That's all. To let you know that it's not you. To let you know that you are good enough. To let you know that you don't need anybody else's approval. Your heart is pure. Your hands are clean. You have a clean heart. You are a good person, and it doesn't matter what somebody else said about you. You have to continue to be the best version of yourself. So that's what I wanted to add to this.
Mothers who exhibit narcissistic traits like to have complete control over all aspects of their children's lives, from friends to music to clothes and habits. Number 3, she uses manipulation to get what she wants. Does trying to assert yourself result towards your mother in anger, rejection, and hostility? Manipulation is her game, and she will often play it well. She will use guilt trips through emotional blackmail to make you and any siblings you may have dance to her music. She doesn't appreciate your attempts to individuate, as it means you're going to be less available to serve her needs. Number 4, her love is conditional rather than unconditional. As mentioned earlier, the mother who is narcissistic is interested in how you and your achievements reflect on her. However, on the flip side, she may even become jealous. As a result, she may use love as a way to reward and to punish. Narcissistic mothers know that the most powerful weapon over their children is their love, which is one of the reasons why children of narcissistic mothers will often be perfectionistic in a misguided attempt to win their mother's love. Number 5, she often diverts the conversation to focus on herself. Have you ever found yourself trying to communicate an issue or a problem to your mother and feel like she's just not listening? Do you feel unvalued in your family dynamic? Narcissistic mothers will take control and change the direction of the conversation to focus on themselves. Number 6, she lacks empathy. Because they're so super focused on themselves, narcissistic mothers are unable to sympathize with their children. It's likely that she'll not validate your feelings, as there's very little room in her emotional consciousness for her to do so. Narcissists are self-centered, and they feel the entire world should revolve around them. If they do something that upsets you, narcissists won't acknowledge their mistakes or soothe your upset because they believe they can do no wrong. Number 7, she's unpredictable. Never quite know where you stand with your mother? Narcissists often wax and wane in terms of their attention and availability. She may shower you with affection and attention when she wants something from you, and ignore you when she's doing okay. This is also known as love bombing. Number 8, she carries grudges. Does your mother hold a grudge based on something that happened days, months, or even years ago? With narcissistic mothers, these tend to last for a long time with no sign of it being forgiven or forgotten anytime soon. This is because narcissistic mothers are quick to develop a victim mentality. She's wired to manipulate others, which includes guilt-tripping you with your past mistakes to get what she wants. Number 9, she's emotionally volatile. Another key tick box when it comes to looking at narcissism is being volatile in nature. Mothers with these characteristics have very low self-esteem underneath their bluster and will become teary, desperate, and manipulative if they meet ongoing resistance. And number 10, she will never want to let you go. Has your mother ever said something like, "You can't leave me," or "You need me"? All parents know their kids will grow up and eventually leave the nest. However, narcissistic mothers may have a harder time letting go. Codependency in relationships is a trademark of people suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. So, a narcissistic mother may hold on to her child as long as possible, even into adulthood. She will use every tactic in the book to make them feel dependent on her. Did you relate to any of these signs? Let us know in the comments below. Remember that narcissistic traits can be symptoms of a personality disorder. However, that does not mean that everybody who exhibits these signs is a narcissist, or that they may have a personality disorder. If you feel like your mother may be a narcissist, please ensure you talk to somebody you trust, as this can be a difficult thing to deal with, not just for you, but for your mother and those around her as well. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it with someone who might benefit from it too. Don't forget to subscribe to Psych2Go and hit the notification bell icon for more content. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
I put the link to that video down below in the description, and I want you to take it and share it with somebody that you feel in the future or maybe now that might need it. And I believe that this is one of the times where this conversation is so necessary and it's so needed, because there are many people who are struggling with a lot of things right now. Identity is the main reason for me talking about the narcissistic mother. Oftentimes, when you have that narcissistic mother, she is vicariously living through you. She is, if it's a girl, then what she may do is, this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to do it. Just like I said in the members only, where my mom was like, well, this is the plan then. If this is what you want to be, this is how the plan is going to work. You can do this, 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 and this. And then this will help you get to here. But the one problem that I noticed as I reflect back when I turned 60 was the fact that I was trying to do everything for everybody else. I wasn't being me. And it became an issue. When people would meet me, they would not know that I love to fish. And when I told them, oh my God, I love to fish. Oh my gosh, I love the outdoors. I would never have imagined that. Or they may say things like, you have how many kids? I never imagined that you were even married. And so I found myself walking this life. But as I was walking this life, they were seeing somebody other than who I am, which is why we have the topic about an identity crisis. Now, there's a lot of tentacles. You see, there's a tentacle of the narcissistic mom. We're going to look at the narcissistic parents because we just have to look at the whole thing. But the reason why it made it difficult for people to see who I really was because, well, I have many different sides of me. And there are a lot of people that are like that. It doesn't mean that it's an issue or a problem. It just means when you get faced with the question that we asked about maybe 10 minutes ago, and that is, who are you? It's very difficult to put it down quantifiably who you are. Now, there are some people who are well balanced and healthy, and they can say, oh, my name is Bob the Builder and I build. What do you build, Bob? I build all kinds of houses and this is what I do. But you know what? Even Bob the Builder may have that dad who didn't want him to be the builder. And in your face, he can be Bob the Builder. But then when you see Bob the Builder be, standing right next to his dad, he shrinks. Do you shrink? Is there somebody in your life that you revere, but you fear them as well and you shrink? Well, then you have identity crisis issues as well, albeit it may not be as grave as others. This is something that you are going to have to put your finger on. You're going to have to go back, find out at what point you felt this way, and then unravel it. But you do it in a very healthy manner. I always recommend that people take a journal and start to write down their feelings. This may again not be for you. And I'm not going to say that no more because I already know that I know that I know that I know that this is for somebody. Get a journal, begin to write it down. Write down the circumstance. Write down what day it was, who was present. It's important to write down who was present when an incident happened. The reason why it's important to write down who was present when the incident happened is so that you know you're not tripping. So that you know you're not crazy because somebody else was there and they saw it too. So in that journal, you're going to write down where you were when this circumstance happened that made you feel like you feel now at 40. Go back all the way. When did I start to feel like this? Then you write it. You say how you felt, who was present. And then I want you to write something positive about yourself right behind that. Because a lot of people that try to make you shrink or you feel like you've shrunken around them, they have insecurities. Maybe they had a narcissistic parent. Maybe they had an instructor or a teacher that made them feel bad. And now they're in a place of a teacher. And now they're making you feel bad. These are important pieces. Now we're going to look at the unhealthy mother and daughter experience. This is the big one. Because this is what F's up a lot of children. When the mother had an unhealthy relationship and the daughter has an unhealthy relationship with the mom. The mother is the daughter, but she your mama. And she had an unhealthy relationship with her mother. You heard me right? So let's get with that one. The next one is unhealthy mother and daughter relationship. There's a lot of cultures that go through this, a lot of cultures.
American writer Amy Tan had a difficult relationship with her mother, Daisy. At one point, Daisy held a knife to her throat and threatened to kill her when the two of them argued over Amy's new boyfriend. Daisy would often threaten to kill herself and attempted suicide once, but failed, hoping to join her mother, who died committing suicide. Amy Tan grew up with an erratic, toxic relationship with her mother that was life-threatening and traumatizing. What's scary about toxic relationships is that the signs aren't always clearly visible. In fact, some girls don't realize they have an unhealthy bond with their mothers until they are older, or in some cases, when it's too late. Has there always been a subtle tension between you and your mother, but you're not sure why? Do you often feel afraid of your mother? Here's 6 types of unhealthy mother-daughter relationships. 1. Bosom buddies. This is when the mother is more concerned about being her daughter's best friend more than playing the role of a parent. The mother knows every little detail about her daughter's life, and although she offers great emotional support, as her daughter gets older and wants to branch out and do independent activities, the mother will continue to smother her. In this type of relationship, the daughter rarely gets disciplined by her mother and has a hard time building practical life skills because she wasn't given the proper guidance. 2. Boss and subordinate. This is when the mother wants to control and dominate her daughter's life. The mother is often very demanding, rigid, close-minded, and expects the daughter to follow her rules and expectations. She typically lacks empathy and puts pressure on her daughter to perform well. The daughter often feels as though she has to be perfect to win her mother's approval. She also suffers from low self-esteem problems and fears being rejected or judged harshly by others. As the daughter gets older, she will grow resentful of her mother and will typically rebel, whether it's done loudly or quietly. 3. Rivals. In this relationship, the mother sees her daughter as a rival or threat. Although the mother may seem as though she is supportive of her daughter, on the inside, she feels insecure about herself when she's with her. The mother constantly compares herself to her daughter to see who is prettier, thinner, smarter, and more successful. Rather than developing a relationship based on understanding and acceptance, the daughter usually feels internally conflicted and unworthy. 4. The role reversal relationship. This is when the mother expects her daughter to play the role of a parent and be there to support her. This relationship is one-sided, and the daughter feels abandoned, used, and neglected. The mother is only concerned about her own needs and makes sure she's the one being nurtured by her daughter. At a young age, the daughter learned that she must sacrifice herself and put others first. As she gets older, she often suffers from low self-esteem issues and has a hard time saying no and setting healthy boundaries for herself. 5. The ghost. In this relationship, the mother can either be emotionally and/or physically unavailable to her daughter. If the mother is emotionally unavailable, she may choose to withdraw or withhold love from her daughter and give it to her other child. If the mother decides to ghost, she leaves and gives her daughter up to either her other biological parent or another guardian who can take care of her. The daughter usually doesn't receive an explanation or closure for why her mother left and usually grows up with an empty void. 6. Good mom, bad mom. This is an erratic relationship between the mother and daughter. The daughter never knows whether the bad mom or good mom will show up. She often faces hot and cold treatment from her and fears her mom. The mother usually acts good when they are out in public and there are others around them. She displays kind behavior, smiles, and pretends to care for her daughter. But when it's just the two of them, the mother will show her true colors and acts dismissive, neglectful, and cold. In this relationship, the mother only wants to put up a good image when she has to and fails to connect with her daughter. Which type of unhealthy mother-daughter relationship do you resonate with? We know how hard it is to talk about toxic family dynamics and want to be a safe, non-judgmental place for you. Please share your story with us down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more content from Psych2Go and check out our Patreon. Thanks for watching.
Now, it's important to note that at the top of this, it described the mother, described what the mother had done to herself, and how the first portion talked about how the daughter wanted to be with the mom after the mom had harmed herself. We want to make sure that if there's anybody here that feels like that, or by watching this, I am bound to share with you the importance of reaching out to organizations that are already set up, whether it is a suicide prevention line, which we will put down below in the description for you. It is incumbent upon me to share that with you. That's something that I have to do. So we're now going to look at the characteristics of the parents. I hope that, maybe you don't see you, but if you see somebody else, then you can share this. So this right here, what we're looking at now, are the characteristics of highly toxic parents. And then we're going to have a very unique set of circumstances in another video that you can see where the outcome can harm the children. Because there are a lot of children right now, whether we know it or not, that are going out here in these streets and they're doing things that are very bizarre. They're harming other people, they're harming classmates, they're harming themselves. And these things don't come from nowhere. They start someplace. They don't just think these things up. There are children who are harming other children. There are children who are harming themselves. And unfortunately, there are children who are harming their parents. Because when a bow breaks in a child, when their bow breaks, when their mental breaks, you can't recuperate that. You can't recover that. So here are 10 characteristics of highly toxic parents. Bad enough if you got one, but it's a mess if you got two. Sometimes some people got two.
A taboo topic in our society is speaking ill of our parents. When we bring up our own traumatic events regarding our parents, we're shushed and shunned with phrases like, they did the best they could, they did everything for you, or the usual, you're ungrateful. While our parents might have meant well, it's undeniable that some are highly toxic. The consequence of this lifetime of toxic parenting is an adult who continues to suffer from an unhealthy perspective of love and relationships and a lack of understanding of their own emotional and mental needs. So, with that said, here are 10 characteristics of highly toxic parents and how they affect you. Number 1, they're hypercritical. Criticism from parents is normal. Well-adjusted criticism can help you see the flaws in a plan and make better choices for yourself. However, if your parents are overly critical of you on a regular basis, this is a toxic trait. This constant criticism and sometimes comparison can make a child feel like they aren't good enough or at fault for their parents' constant attacks on them. This result is an adult who has a harsh inner critic as a constant companion. This inner critic can actually sound like your parents' voice, telling you detrimental things all the time. Number 2, they don't allow you to express your true feelings. Healthy parents are aware that their children have emotions and opinions too. They welcome the expression and discussion from their children. Highly toxic parents don't have this awareness. Highly toxic parents take a child expressing their confusing and difficult emotions as attacks on their character. There are no individual feelings, just a few collective emotions. Parents being dismissive of their children's emotions can result in depression, according to the American Psychological Association, because their true self is being suppressed. This results in a child who can't express or identify their own needs as an adult who suffers the same and aims to please everyone because that's what they know. Are you having trouble staying productive? Is stress and anxiety stopping you from getting a good night's sleep? We'd like to thank Endel, our sponsor for this video. Helping you sleep, relax, and focus is what Endel does best. With their personalized soundscapes, they can create feelings of comfort and safety, boost your productivity, and even soothe you into a deep sleep with their gentle sounds. With their AI-powered core technology, Endel adapts in real time to personal inputs such as location, weather, and time of day in order to create the most effective music possible. With their extensive backing in neuroscience and innovative technology, unproductivity and sleepless nights are a thing of the past. 3, they compete with you. Being competitive is a good thing that can help you become more resilient and confident about making your dreams a reality. Having parents that inspire you to exceed in what you want to do is a blessing. Toxic parents seem to view their children as competitors. They might derail your success or goals by using sabotage and belittling your dreams and accomplishments. You end up not feeling confident in reaching your own goals. Some highly toxic parents are quite jealous of their children and the opportunities that they have, so they might overtake you in your goals or force you to live their own long gone dreams. Number 4, they don't see their children as individuals. Highly toxic parents, or HTPs, see their children as extensions of themselves only. They want their kids to follow in their footsteps or live out the dreams they never got to accomplish. Because they see their kids as small versions of themselves, they fear the kids being autonomous and leaving them, so they prevent them from being themselves and functioning as an individual. Any undesirable behavior that can make them look bad is ridiculed both publicly and privately. The child becomes an adult who doesn't have a separate identity, nor do they know who they are. Number 5, they control their children using guilt and money. Healthy parents can give gifts, affirmation, and physical affection without expecting anything in return because they know it's not a business deal that requires reciprocity to make it work. They do it because they want to and love to. HTPs will give a child all these things and demand something in return. If the child doesn't, they're reminded of the sacrifices that the parent made and everything they...
And that becomes a problem when the child, an adult child, this is not just happening with little kids, because little kids, this happened as they were coming up. But when you have an adult child that is constantly reminded of what the parent did for them, that's a problem. Are you that parent? Do you constantly remind your children of what you've done for them, and then you wonder why they can't get it? What are you going to be when you grow up? I mean, because you're not doing anything with yourself. And I did so much to make you do X, Y, and Z. Now you're just out here embarrassing me. I've given you this and I've given you that, and you're not doing anything with yourself. You even have parents who are estranged from their children because they wanted their children to do X. And now that the child is doing something different, well, they're not going to get any inheritance. I'm just going to take you. You're not going to get anything because you're not going to take my money and go run and do X, Y, Z with it. You got a motorcycle shop. I no one ever wanted you to build a motorcycle. How stupid is that? You're not going to get any of my money when I die. I did a lot for you. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. There are a lot of people who are under the sound of my voice. There are people who are going to be watching this in the replay and who are going to take their time to type out all these wonderful soliloquies and all these wonderful things about how that's never been them and how they have never had to deal with that and how they always gave their children X, Y, Z, and you straight up lying. Shut up. Because your kids didn't become jacked up on their own. None of our kids do. It's you. It's you right now. The one who thinking what wonderful thing in the replay to type to show how excellent of a parent you were. You full of it. You that parent. I don't know who you are. You may not even be here right now, but you the one. So just be quiet. Because your son and your daughter that is on drugs or that is now homeless or that is out there in these streets, it did not happen on its own. You had something to do with it. So stop it, I say. Get yourself some help. Because as long as you've got breath in your body, precious, and as long as your children have breath in their body, it's a chance for you to apologize and get it right. Because the identity crisis that they're going through, even though you say, oh, he could play piano, he could play guitar, he was this, he was that, he was awesome. Oh, he can still do it. She can still do it. And you still have the opportunity to turn around. I still have the opportunity to turn around. Bob the Builder's daddy still got the opportunity to turn around. Because none of us come here perfect. None of us. So stop it, I say. Just stop it.
They've done. Children become afraid to ask for help and for things that they do need because they'll be asked to give something back that they don't want. They may turn into suspicious, distrustful adults who question kindness and doubt people's intentions. Number 6, they always put their feelings first. Putting your feelings first isn't bad, but if you do it often and at the expense of others, that is a toxic trait. Parents who do this in a family environment don't create positive relationships with their children. By not considering the family's feelings and opinions about family matters, these parents force their kids to hide their true feelings to please and soothe the parent. This can result in an adult who lies and hides who they are and downplays their own needs and feelings. Number 7, they demand.
And at the same time, this is the person who suffers with the identity crisis because they've had to for so long pretend like they were somebody else just to gain the approval of those that they love. Children come here loving their parents for the most part. There are sets of circumstances where you'll find individuals who may have a personality trait that perhaps they were born with. But by and large, the preponderance of children come here wanting to please the parent. And it's that can cause that identity crisis. Okay? They demand your attention and praise. Let's pick up there.
And your attention and praise. Toxic parents can't live without attention and praise. It has to be positive, of course, and you must give it often. Well-adjusted parents know that their kid needs to be their own person, away from them to grow. HTPs constantly demand your attention and interaction. This forced bonding is tiring and time-consuming for children. They may turn into adults that struggle to say no and suffer through things they really don't want to do because of leftover guilt. Number 8. They withhold love as a form of.
Now I want to stop there because there are a lot of young ladies and men who are now walking the streets at night in prostitution because they have learned this trait of trying to constantly please other people. Okay. There are a lot of young ladies who may not even be a prostitute, but they're in bad relationships because all they wanted to do was please somebody else. When you become a people pleaser, that becomes a problem. Becoming a people pleaser is a problem. And it also prevents you from realizing the value that you have and the value that you can share with the world. And I'm going to just stop right now before we continue. And I'm just going to say a little prayer. I am. I'm going to ask the Father that if there are any children of parents, or if there are parents who have children in the chat or in the replay that have suffered at the hands of parents who are narcissistic, who are pushing their children to be who they want them to be instead of understanding the value that their kids have. I'm going to ask that the Father lifts that child's hung down head, lifts their hung down head, and allows that child to realize that to the Father who created them, they are important to Him. In their frailty as a human being, they are important to Him. And I'm going to ask that the parent be able to see themselves and ask for forgiveness, and then begin to love themselves and love their children for just who they are. Love yourself for who you are. Love your children for who they are. You'll never be able to make them be what you want them to be. And sometimes that's how our children end up leaving here early, because they could never keep up with the standard that you put out there for them. So right now, I just ask that every parent that has ever exemplified these traits will begin to see themselves and will take that haughty spirit down so that they can really mend the relationship between them and their adult children who are now in an identity crisis. They don't know who they are because they've been constantly running around here trying to be who you wanted them to be. Bless your heart. Bless your heart. Bless your heart. Father, mend the family, heal the family, heal the children. Let them all see their errors, and let them all turn away from the error of their ways and seek you and seek your face. Seek what is pure, all the things that are lovely, all the things that are good, all the things that are of good report. Let them begin to think on those things and live their lives in such a way that it gives you glory. And then let them be quiet about the changes that you make in their lives based on them being repentant. Let them be quiet. Let them not get haughty. Let them not walk with a sense of boastfulness, but to boast on the goodness that you have. Because if there's any good thing, I submit it didn't come from them. It doesn't come from us. Hallelujah.
Punishment. Being punished by your parents is necessary to learn that consequences exist for actions. However, healthy punishment options exist. HTPs will often use the silent treatment on their child to discipline them instead of expressing their displeasure in a productive way. This passive aggressiveness makes the child feel pressured into solving a problem that they didn't even cause. They may tell their kids that they don't love or like them, give them short, rude answers and dirty looks, and refuse physical touch. This manifests in children who hide the truth from their parents or engage in worse behavior if they believe that their parents don't care about them. Number 9, they give no apologies and take no blame. Well-rounded parents aren't perfect people, and they're aware of this. They know that their actions can and do have unpleasant consequences, and they communicate this with their children when they hurt them unintentionally or intentionally. HTPs are not in that group. They are not self-aware or focused on self-improvement. They always see themselves as the victim. They're too preoccupied with judging people and blaming everyone else, even their own kids. They refuse to give an apology because they believe that children aren't worthy of them. This makes the child feel like the wrongs done to them don't matter or need correction. So they become adults who don't voice any grievances and suffer in silence. And number 10, they ignore healthy boundaries. Well-rounded parents know that having boundaries is good for themselves and their children because it teaches them self-respect. They will knock on the door first, allow you privacy, and encourage general communication within the family. HTPs don't know what boundaries are, at least not in regard to their kids. They give little to no privacy. They trample all over boundaries and force an enmeshed dynamic in the family where you can't tell where you start and the rest of the family ends. Parents who display this toxic trait make it difficult for children to recognize, set, understand, and maintain boundaries. This child becomes an adult with little understanding of healthy boundaries and respect for others. So, do you relate to any of the things we've mentioned here? If you come from a home where you didn't receive unconditional love, affirmation, security, practicing independence and individuality can help you break this cycle and be a better, more adjusted, secure person. It takes a long time and a lot of work, but it's rewarding in the long run. While it may not be simple or possible for some people to leave their toxic parents and guardians, action does need to be taken to start healing. If you are a victim of toxic parenting, therapy is extremely important and helpful long-term. If you're a parent who sees these characteristics in yourself, help from a mental health professional can help you break these negative patterns. Did you find this video valuable? Tell us in the comments below. Please like and share it with friends that might find use in this video too. Make sure to subscribe to Psych2Go and hit the notification.
Stop what I say with the mute button, Felicia. Thank you, baby. Thank you, all of you. I love you so much. Thank you. Okay, this right here is a story of a young lady by the name of Carly Craig. And we're not going to play the entire story. I'm just going to give you the cliff notes to the story because it's one that should give most of us pause. Now, this young lady's mom found out that she was using marijuana and that she was doing some other stuff, that she had this quote unquote secret life with drugs. There's a very alarming surveillance video that shows that the young lady went into the mom's room. She actually tipped around this corner and then mentally this girl was 15, but there was something already wrong with this child. And I don't know the mama. I don't know the daddy. I don't know the stepdaddy. But what I do know is there was a definite problem here. These are our children. These are our kids. Yeah, they are. Anyway, goes on to say that alarming surveillance video shown to the court on this past Tuesday showed the baby-faced teen awkwardly shuffling around the home, allegedly clutching a gun behind her back shortly before she opened fire. This girl right here went and she did something heinous to her mom, releasing the gun a few times. And then she sent a text message to the stepfather. Hey, honey, when are you coming home? And then when he came home, she attempted to do the same thing to him. Lucky for him, he wrestled the gun from her. Now, some would say this may not even be a real story, or this might be a real story. It may be either or. But I do know that the child, according to what we've seen lately in the media, went to court and they found her guilty. But this is part of what I'm saying. These are a part of the situations and the issues. Now, I'm not going to get into how the schools play a role in the parents and the children's dynamic. I'm not going to get into all of that because that's been said and we all know it. But the problem is, these are the things that are going on here in America. These are the issues that we're having. The mother responded in a way that the daughter, who was already not well, did not appreciate when it came to the drugs. The mother was a teacher. The daughter was, bless her heart, honey. I don't know who advised the girl, but she had been offered the opportunity to take a plea deal, which would have given her 40 years, which means she would have been, 55 when she got out? She didn't take that. Now she's got life in prison. I don't know who was advising her, but whoever it was, they was wrong. I guess she wanted to just stand her ground. I don't know why she didn't know that there was cameras in the house. Again, not saying that it's I don't know whether it's real or not. All I know is it's a terrible situation. It's a terrible situation. So this is that's the story that we're talking about right here with Carly Craig. And here's why I thought it was unique, because she had on a Nirvana t-shirt. So what I'm going to do with the story is I'm just going to use the context of the story. I'm not going to use my gifting to break down whether or not it was real or not, because I have my own opinions about that. What I'm doing is using this in the context of what we're talking about tonight. And that is, this dichotomy with the family was not a healthy one. I don't know what happened, but I do know that the mom felt embarrassed that the daughter was using marijuana. The mom felt as if she had a secret life with drugs, and the mom was a teacher, I believe, at the same school that the young lady went to. Let's see. Carly Craig, 15, is currently on trial for allegedly killing her high school teacher mom, Ashley Smiley, and then shooting her stepdad, Heath Smiley, in their Brandon, Mississippi home back in March, after they learned of her secret life with drugs. Alarming surveillance video shows that she did that to her mother. They said that she had the Nirvana t-shirt on, which we can see here in this clip, and she was filmed disappearing off camera, going into her mother's bedroom, and just seconds before, you could hear the shots ring out, followed by Smiley's piercing screams, according to the clip obtained by Law and Crime. Well, if you've watched the video, then you've heard it. The teen then returned to the kitchen roughly 10 seconds after, still allegedly clutching the weapon behind her back. Prosecutors said that Craig faced the camera the whole time in a bid to hide the weapon, which was later identified as a .357 Magnum handgun. This was the mother. The dogs are here when she comes in and she's peeking around the corner. Oh, the insanity. There she's running. Here she is, allegedly the schoolgirl look. Now, I don't know who put this on her, which makes me go into that mindset of trying to unravel the validity of the story. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there. This is her. I'm going to leave all of this here. What is this? What is this? What is she wearing? That's what takes me to that other place. And you guys know I can unfilter that place. I can filter it pretty good. So before we leave tonight, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out with me. But I just wanted to deal with the identity crisis and where it actually starts with. I also wanted to deal with how it does impact our children's lives, whether or not we believe it, whether or not we want to believe it. Having that crisis and having those issues and dealing with all of those problems, it does fall on our kids. In closing, I want to make sure that everyone that may need help because of watching this and because of the office that I sit in, it is necessary and incumbent upon me to share this information with you. 988 Lifeline. If you need to talk, the 988 Lifeline is here. At 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, we understand that life's challenges can sometimes be difficult, whether you're facing mental health struggles, emotional distress, alcohol or drug use concerns, or you just need someone to talk to. They say our caring counselors are here for you, and you're not alone. So that's the number, 988, and that is a national number. Okay? It's important that we do that. All right. So I appreciate each and every one of you all for being here with us tonight. Thank you for allowing us to delve into the whole identity crisis piece, whether you're a husband who just went out and spent your life savings on that beautiful, beautiful, listen, older model Corvette. Ah, yes, the nice sounding Corvette. Or you found a nice Chevelle that roars ever so roughly. Okay? Or you've gone out and you found yourself a beautiful Challenger and you spin it all on you. Or if you're the mom who we looked at tonight, or if you're the child who's suffered under the hands of either, I want you to know that if your identity is hidden in the one who made you. You won't have to worry about anything. Step away from those who harm you. Begin to love yourself and begin to know that you are important just the way you are. Just the way you are. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out with me for the last hour. I want to remind you of what we always say here, and that is take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of you, nobody else is going to do it. I think we all know that by now. I think we do. Make sure that you visit my friend's website, or you can go to Amazon to get Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. And until we see each other again, take care of my friend, because my friend is you. Peace. I love that dog. I had to give the dog his chance. It reminds me of the old mailbag for our OGs here on the channel. Go get the barbecue sauce. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore, because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will.
Lockhart Perspective.